Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed the spooky season and had a great Halloween. We're recording this on the heels of Halloween. We're actually recording this on November 1st, the day after Halloween. So,
yeah,
how was your Halloween?
my Halloween was good. What's up, everybody? The day after Halloween, which is the name of a movie, actually, that is not very good. Yes, but as Mike said, it's November 1st. My Halloween was good. Stella and I went to go see one of my favorite bands ever, The Damned, last night at Irving Plaza. And before we got rolling, folks, I was talking to Mr. Hill about the fact that The Damned did 11 songs from their new record, pretty much almost back to back, which was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that is always weird. Like we were talking about when a band plays like a classic band, you know, like The Damned or Slayer or something like that. They play like all new stuff, you know, and they didn't even break it up. Like it's strange in a way, you know.
Yeah, like look, as a musician myself, I think I get it. You know, I can wrap my head around playing new material, but maybe 11 was a bit too much, and maybe the not kind of sectioning them off a bit more was also a bit self-indulgent. But look, man, you know, I'm happy they're still kicking it. Those guys are knocking on 70, you know, and they've been at it for a long time. And the new record is actually pretty decent. It's called Darkadelic, and I like a good 4-5 songs from it, and those songs were played. But yeah, they did about 11 from the new record. Look, they did songs I wanted to hear, like "Wait for the Blackout," "Just Can't Be Happy Today," you know, neat. Those songs were played, but there was a bunch of shit that I probably would have really liked to hear, like "Ignite" and you know a few other jams that were not played. So, you know, they can't all be home runs, I guess. Even though I will say they were great, and Dave's voice sounded great, and we had a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you do, Mr. Hill?
Tina and I went to go see the original Halloween in a theater. We saw it at the Cranford Theater in Cranford, New Jersey last night, and it was something that we had been planning for a while. As soon as tickets went on sale, we got tickets $10. That's it.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, just old school theater in lovely Cranford, New Jersey. We were wearing our matching Halloween sweaters. I don't know if you guys, some of you guys follow me on Instagram.
I saw the photos. I like the sweater. They're very nice. I liked it.
That's like something that we do, actually. We have a lot of the same clothes. Like we have the same shoes and a lot of the same shirts. And sometimes we go out in matching outfits.
Oh, look at that. How about that? Very, very cute, Mr. Hill. I'm gonna use the C word. That's very cute. How many people were there?
Oh, the place was there was not a seat to be had, man. It was packed.
Nice.
You know.
Nice.
Yeah. Very nice crowd. Everyone was pretty cool. And I tell you what, man, my boycott of AMC is galvanized by my experience at the Cranford Theater, you know.
Yeah, AMC is kind of ghetto, huh? Yeah.
It really is.
They've lost their shine that they might have had moons ago.
You know, it's like I was saying, when I used to live, before I moved here, you know, I was alone all the time. So I would go to the AMC at like Friday nights and, you know, at the 10 o'clock show and, you know, I'd go see films that no one went to go see, you know, like for example, Skinamarink we were talking about. I saw that at the AMC near where I used to live. And it was different experience. You know, the mall was closed and you're pretty much there. It's like this real creepy sort of setting. So I didn't notice how just shot the theater was because there was like no one there, you know.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, the Alpine that I go to in Bay Ridge is kind of disgusting, but I like it. You know, like it's home. You know. But if there was like a much nicer theater in Bay Ridge, of course I would check that out, you know. But yeah, I've heard things about AMC. I was saying I saw Halloween in the theater probably about 10 years ago in Manhattan, and it was a lot of fun. I've seen a couple of my all-time favorites in the theater. I've seen Suspiria in the theater. I've seen Halloween. and I've seen The Exorcist in the theater, but I have not seen. Oh wait, I have saw The Shining. I saw The Shining at a drive-in. Okay, so that's four of my big ones right there. I have not seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a theater, Michael.
That would be really good. I think I would love to see that in a movie theater.
Yeah. So if that ever comes along, I will do that, and then I will have my big five theatrical experiences. So that's kind of cool.
I love going to the movies, man. It's like one of my favorite things to do is go to a movie theater. I'm just, it's always fun. I always have fun at the movie theater.
Yeah, last year around this time, I went to see Terrifier 2 by myself, and that was a lot of fun. It was a bit of a rambunctious crowd that night for that movie.
Yep, I saw that one in the movies as well. This time it was not in the AMC near me, but it was in the New Brunswick AMC. So
right.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It was during the extension of the theatrical release is when I saw it.
Nice. Hey, did you wrap up Fall of the House of Usher?
I haven't yet. Dude, I don't know what I've been doing, but I've been so fucking busy lately, just like, doing stuff with the band and like, I just have not had any, I've seen the first half of Fall of House of Usher, and maybe I'll watch the rest of it tonight after we're done here. But it's so far, I love it, man. I just need to watch the rest of them.
Yeah, I think it's gonna top my TV horror. It's that's how much I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the hell out of it, and it seems like everybody I know that's seen it is like the hell out of it. And I haven't really seen any negative, social media posts or anything, which is cool.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. It's interesting the way that it's not an adaptation of the Fall of the House of Usher, but sort of a aggregate of many of Poe's works sort of rolled into this one narrative. I think that's really clever.
No, exactly. Yeah. But other than that, let's see. I mean, Stella and I have watched like some old Universal Mummy films, which have been fun to watch. I watched Halloween, the original, 2 nights ago, on Shudder, which I try to just shoehorn in every year around this time.
Oh, yeah. You have to.
You know what's interesting? There's a scene that I guess it never dawned on me about where Michael is in the car, but I never really knew it was there. It's that scene where Loomis meets up with the sheriff at the store that had just been broken into, and after his daughter and Jamie Lee Curtis drive away, the camera pans back a little bit as they're talking, and sure enough, across the street, Michael pulls up in that car that he's in.
Yep.
But I never really pay attention to that. And then, I saw this YouTube thing of, Easter eggs or whatever the fuck, hidden things in Halloween, and I was like, holy shit. How did I miss that? It was like kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, I remember that last night. I saw the movie last night, so it's fresh in my mind. I definitely remember that scene for sure.
Yeah. But I bet all these years, I probably just never really thought about it. I don't know, kind of weird. As a Halloween fanatic,
I tripped out on how Laurie's friends, how mean they are to her in the movie.
Yeah, they kind of are assholes. Like they're kind of like frenemies, to use modern parlance. Like they're her friends, but like they're kind of asshole-ish to her. Yes, good point.
Yeah, and just that movie is like so good, man. You know what I mean? It's like just like a good film. It's excellent horror film. The atmosphere, it was never been duplicated ever in any of the sequels, even in Halloween 2, which I like, but it just does not have that same energy that the first one had. Yeah,
and it literally launched, spawned a monster in its wake that lasted, nearly a decade of slasher films. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe a good half decade of decent ones. But it's still the best, I would agree.
Yeah. It's just so fun to see it in the theater. And, it was early. It wasn't a late night. We went out to get dinner at the place that our very first date was at. So it was kind of cool, like on that level. Right. It's like one of those nights, you know what I mean?
Very cool. So yeah, it's funny. I listened to the VHS 85 episode, and I noticed something interesting about it, that the listenership on that particular episode is like through the roof for some reason.
I noticed that myself. I was like, wow, where did all these people come from? You know, it was just really funny. I was looking at the stats and I was like, damn, this one like spiked, man.
And I think it's because you guys, I mean, I think it was right literally the week it came out, I'm thinking.
Maybe.
And I think sometimes that actually makes a difference when we cover films here, folks. We tend to have covered quite a few older ones in 2023, but I have noticed when we cover ones that are new or new with a buzz of sorts, the numbers spike. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Just the relevance, you know, and the social element of things. You know,
Right. Like I said, I enjoyed VHS 85 quite a bit. It's been one of the only new, horror movies, of 2023 that I actually really did enjoy. Although my brother John keeps telling me to watch Talk to Me. Did you watch Talk to Me?
No, we need to before the end of the year, just because that's a
Yes.
movie that's on everyone's everyone loves that film, and I have a feeling I'm going to hate it. And I know Jeff didn't like it. So.
Well, I'm kind of in that head frame with you, but I want to go in with a clear head.
Yeah.
I did put on The Boogeyman the other night, and I think I'm only about 25 minutes in. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but I could see how some people might not have dug it, but I'm only like a quarter of the way in.
That was another date night, that movie at an AMC theater. But I didn't hate it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm
gonna get through it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And another film I caught recently was I got the screener of Where the Devil Roams, the new Addams Family film.
Right.
And,
nice.
Yeah, so that's actually debuting in the theaters this week, the 3rd of November. It's playing in New York somewhere. There's a, the Alamo. This is having there's a Q&A with John and Zelda, and they're both are totally sold out. So but
Killer.
check it out.
Right.
And,
what's the title of that one again?
Where the Devil Roams.
Where the Devil Runs. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I will watch it. Yeah.
And I rewatched Poltergeist, Salem's Lot, and on a whim we checked out Midnight Man on Shudder, and that was terrible, by the way.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could do an episode about the Shudder exclusives that we hated. That would be interesting. Although it's funny to say that, it actually wouldn't be that fun to do an episode like that, because I actually like episodes more where we like the things that we're talking about.
yeah, for sure, man. Me too. I mean, I don't like to hate stuff, but sometimes it's cool that Shudder. I like that they put out these films. Not all of them are good though. They're exclusives.
Right.
Tonight's Shudder exclusive. One of the good. One of the. We'll talk about it, but it's not like Midnight Man. Let's put it this way.
It is quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Let's give some plugs. We'll give out the old phone number. Folks, if you're a new listener or a long-time listener, you know that we are a part of a group of podcasting maniacs, a cabal, if you will, the horsemen of the podcasting apocalypse. And basically, we've got a podcast for near every day of the week for you, right, Mike?
That is 100% true. And kicking the week off, we have Horror Wolf 666, brought to you by Brandon Legion. And he comes out twice a month, so beware. Yes.
On Tuesday, for all of your extreme metal needs, we have none other than Jackie Smith's own Into the Necrosphere. And Mr. Hill, you made an appearance.
Yeah, me and Ralph both were on there. Halloween episode, we were talking about our love for Glenn Danzig, and it was a lot of fun. Always great talking to both of those gentlemen. And I love these crossover episodes. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you added me to the Love of Glenn Danzig episode, the episode would still be on.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah,
I think
totally.
it would be running right now, actually. And I have a little bone to pick. I wish I knew about that exclusive little 7-inch there. I would have liked to have grabbed that orange vinyl, which is no longer available, Mr. Hill.
Yeah, I mean that's Ralph, man. That's Ulta, split. That was a lot of fun, dude. That was that was a lot of fun. Unholy Passion. I sang, with Ulta. That goes back to just about almost a year ago when I performed with them at the Unholy Passion Festival in Cologne, Germany. That was
that's right.
Flew out there my first time in Europe as a tourist. You know what I mean? It was like I'd never been to Europe unless I was playing. So technically I was playing, but I was just just showed up on stage and sang that song, and it was just a lot of fun, man. It was great.
Awesome. Yes. Why don't you just quickly tell the listeners what I'm talking about as far as the release?
Oh, yeah, it's a split with Ulta and Karloff, another German band, and it's a cover of Unholy Passion by Sam Hain, one of my favorite all-time bands. And it is my favorite Danzig band, by the way. I think I like every Sam Hain song, every single one of them. I think it's a classic. Oh
yeah, I mean they are kind of a band with no bad tracks. I mean, there's only 2 LPs and 1 EP, which is kind of just right, one could argue.
Yeah.
But yeah, who doesn't love Sam Hain? Maybe one day there'll be some official Sam Hain releases again, although I wouldn't hold my breath. And I'm glad I've got all of my original CDs and vinyl. Not to rub it into those collectors' faces out there, but they're among my prized possessions. On Wednesday, we have none other than Mr. Hill's very own Everything Went Black podcast, the podcast that launched 1,000 ships, as they say, right, Mike?
I guess, man. Yeah, we do a bunch of different. We fuck around on that show. We do a lot of different stuff. We got some filmmakers, music, all sorts of things, writers. So just a variety of different topics. You know what I mean?
Exactly. On Thursday, while you're listening to it right now, it's the Necromaniacs podcast, the greatest horror podcast in the world, coming to you each and every Thursday with Mr. Hill, myself, Michael Scodato, that is my name, and Jeff Kashid. Happy Halloween, Jeff. I know you're not with us right now, but hopefully you'll catch the episode that you are not on. Yeah, every Thursday, Necromaniacs podcast. Coming to you on Friday, it is none other than Spitball Media with my very own flesh and blood, Mr. John Draper. They are all about movies, television, entertainment, things of that nature. They've been talking about a lot of horror stuff, of course, because it is October. Well, it was October. But yeah, check it out. Spitball Media every Friday. On Saturday, take a break. Who do we have on Sunday?
Sunday is Soul Knocks, brought to you by Carl Hekara, and that's anything has to do with the darkness, the macabre, the esoteric, the strange. And yes. Carl and I have been we just wrapped up the first phase of our Darkness Weaves collaboration, and it's both shows put out an episode every month. And the goal is to go through the work of Carl Edward Wagner, and the first phase was to cover the recently reissued In a Lonely Place, which is a collection of Wagner's weird and horror fiction. And we just wrapped it up on this Halloween episode of Everything Went Black.
Oh, excellent, man. I got to peep that. Very nice. Yep. We have another horseman, ladies and gentlemen. None other than Cheyenne of the Mighty Tribax. Mike, what's the name of that podcast?
Iblis Manifestations. And Cheyenne is, you can't pin him down, man. He's just too free for regular schedules and things like that. He just operates on his own timetable. So you just gotta catch him when you can. That's how it goes.
You know what, listeners? Here's a little fun fact. Once upon a time, this podcast was like that.
Oh,
do you agree, Mike?
All of them were like that. We just kind of put them out whenever we wanted to.
Right. We were not the well-oiled machine as we are today. We were a bit fly by the seat of our pants, as they say at one point. Yes.
Also, just one quick shout out. I want to shout out my mom, Beatrice Hill, for being a special guest on last week's episode. And
that was very cool.
She was a real sport, because I even asked her. I was like, because she knows, like, I do a podcast, and she knows what it is, and she, every now and then they listen to it, here and there, not regularly, and she's like, what do you mean you want me to talk? And I'm like, I've been telling the story about how you guys took me to see The Exorcist when I was like just way too young, and I want you to tell the story a little bit. And she was like good enough to talk about it. And I just thought it was really fun.
I mean, it is kind of what it is. It is kind of just like telling the story,
Yeah.
Like it's kind of the best way to explain, say, a podcast to your parent or someone who might not know what the hell one is. Which I believe there are quite a few out there these days, believe it or not. Even though podcasting has been around for quite a bit. But that was really cool. That was awesome. You should definitely, we could sneak her on again, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. So this brings us to this week's feature film. And
yes, we're excited to talk about a 2023 movie, kids. And that is none other than When Evil Lurks, a movie that, I mean, I've been seeing people talk about all over my, Facebook and even some on Instagram feed, Mr. Hill.
Yeah. And I remember reading about this thing a few months ago and being really excited about it, primarily because it was written and directed by Demian Rugna, who brought us Terrified from a couple of years ago. And
okay. I didn't see that.
Oh, my friend, you got to see that. That's incredible movie. Came out. I forgot what year. I should have wrote this down, but like I didn't. Shame on me. It was. It's on Shudder, and it's.
It is okay.
Oh yeah. You should double feature these, man, because it's. I have a suspicion, and Rennie might back me up on this, that that they're in the same universe, possibly. Yeah.
Now, it's Terrified, right? That's what you're saying?
Yep, Terrified.
Yes, not right, exactly. Okay, not Terrifier. Terrified. Yeah, I got to peep it. What's the rough plot of that one?
It has to do with this community and what might be demons, similar to possessed. There's a lot of similarities vibe-wise and maybe mythology-wise between this and Terrified and When Evil Lurks. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what Demian Rugna has to say about it. But there's reanimated dead stuff. Like some kid shows up in a kitchen and just sits there, creepy and decomposed.
Interesting.
There's so much in it, man. It's that same year that all that other Southeast Asian stuff came out too. Like
it is from 2017.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah. That's how long ago it came out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
Well, it came out in 2017 over there. 2018 here, pretty much. Yeah, 2018.
I wouldn't have thought it was that long ago. So yeah, so it's been quite a few years since we've seen anything from Mr. Rugna here.
Now get this, I just saw this. At some point, Guillermo del Toro was going to do a remake of that movie, but I guess that did not happen.
No. Dude,
okay.
It just
makes me want to watch it all the more. Yeah.
Nothing against Guillermo del Toro, but the movie was perfect the way it was, and it's a film. It's a modern film, so why remake it? Because no one wants to read subtitles. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Thankfully, I have not seen any of the dopey posts of I can't watch this with the subtitles, but I'm sure those posts are out there somewhere for When Evil Lurks.
Yeah.
But I bet some people probably did not watch Terrified back then because of that.
Which is a real shame, because that's an excellent movie.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah. I'm glad it's on Shudder. So, yeah, score one for Shudder. But, yeah, folks, When Evil Lurks, released to Shudder just a few weeks ago, I believe. I think October 6th. It came out at the Fantastic Fest September 13th of this year, according to Wikipedia. Distributed by IFC Films, written and directed by Demian Rugna, starring Ezekiel Rodriguez as Pedro, Damian Solomon as Jimmy, along with Louise Zembrowski, Sylvia Sabator, and Marcello Minichao. Not a ton of people in this movie. Didn't need a lot of people, would you say? No.
No, not at all. Now, what is there to say about this movie, man? I don't know how deep we should go into you can really talk about it and not spoil it, because it's not really about suspense or anything, you know?
Well, maybe we could just not, like, give the actual end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because to me, the end is kind of like, it's funny, as I was watching this movie, I was like, this reminds me of a Fulci movie with a director who's maybe 5 times more intelligent.
Yeah.
Not to knock at Fulci, you know what I'm saying? But like a thinking man's Fulci, in a way where the director is going for the gusto with the gore, in my opinion, and the special effects and the blood and the violence, like Fulci would have. But it's not just crazy set pieces. There's something tying everything together. But the end of it had that Beyond-esque almost kind of ending. Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the same thing when I was watching this, Mike, was that it reminded me a lot like a Lucio Fulci piece, you know, and just the gore, 100%, very, very visceral movie, and also just even the concepts are kind of like a Fulci-esque sort of take on things, you know.
Yeah. And okay, well, we have to me, at the heart of it, it is a possession movie, right? But it's also like, and it has like that air of being an apocalyptic movie, because the possession hinges upon like pretty much everything going to fucking hell. Wink, wink. You know, that's there, and then it also has this kind of dark drama vibe to it mixed in.
Yeah. And it also kind of connects to like this kind of Christian vibe too, because remember there's a part of the film where they talk about how the age of churches is over, and this like demonic pestilence was meted out upon humanity because it lost faith and stuff, you know, that it had this like very Catholic sort of vibe to it, you know what I mean?
But it's like a okay, it's not really explained, but where, like, the world that these characters live in, folks, I think is a world where wild shit like the supernatural and possessions and demons are a part of life, right? Like,
yeah, but
it's not like a big shock and surprise.
But but there was also like they imply that there was a before and after, though. Remember, there was like part of the film where there was a world that existed prior to all these possessions, and
yes,
and that's where you know what I'm trying to say, and then this thing was like a kind of like say 10 years after the rise of this whole wave of possessions and demonic infiltration of the world, you know, and you get the sense that you're kind of in the middle of the story too, you know, like some bad stuff with possessions happened. There was like, they refer to the Cobras, who are these like people who know how to deal with this stuff and how to dispose of these demons. And then there's the whole thing that happens in this movie. So I hope this is the case, you know, but there's seems to be a feel that this might be more than one movie that's heading towards us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sadly, like, IMDb gives it a very horrendous just byline. In a remote village, 2 brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the man, but merely succeed in spreading the chaos. That's it. And then on Wikipedia, there is no kind of few sentence summation, really. It just kind of goes through the entire plot, you know. which sometimes is annoying. Like I like when there's a little bit of a summary that we could perhaps share. But roughly, I'll do my best here. Yeah, we have these two brothers. I would say the film takes place in Argentina. Obviously, it's an Argentinian film. Who live on this kind of farmland, wooded area, right?
Yeah.
It's night. They hear these gunshots. They decide to do a preliminary investigation at night, and then they're like, you know what? We'll check it out in the morning. They, cut to the next morning. They go on their merry way, and as they're kind of searching to see what kind of could have made those sounds, they come across a body that's been ripped in half. Huh?
Oh yeah. They find a half of a body basically, and they keep referring to this guy Ruiz too.
Who's the landowner?
The guy's like the landowner,
yeah.
And how he doesn't like Jaime, the brother, or something like that. What's interesting. This movie's grim as fuck, man. Dark, bleak. But the tone actually has a lot of humor in it. It's like a weird dichotomy of two different flavors,
Yeah, like it's not. I don't think it reaches like Martyrs levels of depths of sadness and hopelessness. Although one could argue it touches that a little bit, maybe at the end, perhaps. But
yeah.
As violent as it is, I at no point was I like disgusted or anything. Although I know some people were a little put off by the dog scene and the scene with the children and whatever. But I don't know. I was totally invested in the film. I was not like overly disturbed. Were you overly disturbed at any point?
No. I mean. You're in for it when you watch this movie. If you do get offended by anything like that, then go watch another film. Like don't check this out. Go see Exorcist, The Believer, or something like that. If this is going to bother you.
No.
But this is
Five Nights at Freddy's. Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no one's safe in this movie. Clearly, you know what I mean. Everything is at stake, and I would describe this film also as kind of a comedy of errors too.
Oh yeah, because the main protagonist Pedro makes quite a few bad decisions.
Oh yeah,
say.
Yeah.
And has made these bad decisions going back prior to when the film begins as well, with his life and his personal life, his family, etc. But so yeah, we come across a body that's been ripped in half, but it has some papers, journals, and notes with it, basically stating where he was heading, and he was heading to a house that was nearby. What was is her name? Maria?
Yeah, and their son Uriel is
yes, Uriel is the possessed monstrosity that lives with the woman and another son actually, who comes more into play towards the end of the film, really. And yeah, he kind of looks like, I don't know, like if like the Kingpin was like infected and like dying on a bed, like just this big, morbidly obese, kind of rotting figure.
Yeah. Yeah, they talk about how the guy that was murdered, that was cut in half or whatever, was one of these people who knows how to deal with demonic possessions, and that he was somehow he was intercepted by somebody and murdered before he was able to show up and deal with the kid.
He never made it.
He never made it. Correct. Yeah. So, Uriel, interesting name, connected to William Blake. Character, Uriel's sword in the Doors of Perception. I find that to be kind of interesting. I haven't really pondered why they named him Uriel, but yeah. So you finally see what a possessed person looks like, and now this is the interesting thing: is that being possessed is almost like this public health problem, as well as a supernatural issue. You know what I mean? Like there's almost like you call this certain guy to come out. It's like if someone hits a dog on the, and you run over an animal on the street, you call someone to deal with the body. It's like if someone gets possessed, they call this person to come out and deal with it. And that's who the guy who got ripped in half was.
Getting back to the name Uriel, it is actually the name of one of the archangels. And the name Uriel is a figure of wisdom, light, and truth.
There you go. Okay.
He's the angel of repentance who stands at the gate of Eden with a fiery sword, or otherwise known as the angel who is over the world. Okay.
See, I knew there was. I didn't really think too deep. I knew that Blake had a, the Uriel sword. I'm talking off the top of my head right now. I didn't really. Put too much thought into this.
I had figured that. I don't know. I thought of angels. It's funny. I mean, I didn't. It took a minute to register, but I'm wondering how that may or may not tie into why they chose that name. Because ultimately, this character does kind of give birth to the apocalypse, so to speak. So, yeah.
So the thing is, the person that's possessed. This is the interesting part about it. It's not like, all right, we watched The Exorcist a couple weeks ago, right? And the human becomes possessed, and they get possessed by this demon. But in the world of when evil lurks, it's almost like an Alien or something like that, where the demon possesses the human, and the human births the demon. It's a gateway from the demonic realm into our world. So I find that to be fascinating, actually.
But and as I was saying earlier, it seems like this is something that either has happened before, or that they kind of knew was coming. Like it's a kind of a supernatural friendly world that they live in. Which I think is cool. Like it's an interesting concept,
Yeah. And we also find that device that Myrta knows how to put together to use to get rid of, because this is the thing. It's like you can't shoot the possessed person. Otherwise they don't explain exactly what happens, but you're not supposed to kill them. The human is not supposed to kill the possessed. All right. So you have to get this like special agent to come and do it. And at some point in the film, they refer to them as cobras. Okay. These at one point, I'm assuming they were like something to do with, possibly priests or something like that understood how to properly dispatch these possessed beings. And the guy that was cut in half had all these devices on him, which Pedro and Yame took with them. Okay. And of course, Myrta knows how to use all this stuff, but we never quite get to see her do anything useful with it. So, I mean, I guess I don't know how much you want to go into that, but.
Yeah, well, Myrta is a friend of Jaime's, and she herself was a former cleaner, so to speak.
Yeah.
And knew how to deal with these possessed beings. Of note, we have to kind of backtrack a little bit, because what they do with Uriel is the two brothers, along with Ruiz, extract him from his home, and they throw him in the back of a truck, which is, again, you're not supposed to move one of these people. You're not supposed to move a rotten. They're called rottens, the possessed beings. But, of course, they did. And they're driving along the highway to kind of dump him somewhere, and they almost strike a boy that's in the road who, in hindsight, probably was not there. And as luck would have it, once the truck stops and they get out and they look in the back to see if everything's okay with the body is missing. The body is gone. So Uriel has kind of escaped into the world. And the really strange part here is that supposedly, like, you're not supposed to touch him, okay? And you're not supposed to get your clothes on him. But sadly, all three of our pals here did just that. Because sadly, when Ruiz goes home after the body goes missing, he comes home to his wife, who's pregnant, and they have this farm and they have all these goats. And of course, one of the goats is already possessed. It's like shit has already begun, basically, from the moving of this body and the fucking with Uriel. And again, they're not listening to the one thing that they're supposed to do, which is not kill any of these rottens, any of these possessed beings who can be animals or people. But of course, Ruiz, in a rage of fury, kills the goat who is possessed, which immediately unleashes the forces upon his wife, who kills him with an axe in a very horrific way, who then in turn turns the axe on herself in an even more horrific way. One of the best scenes in the film, huh, Mike?
So brutal, man. It took me, I was like, when came unexpectedly, I was like, whoa. Like, I was like, hey now, that like happened, and I was like, damn, like this movie's not fucking around,
No, yeah, that's when you know you're really kind of in for it with this movie. But even leading up to this, the movie has a dark vibe. It's, again, you're not watching the new Exorcist film. You're watching what a lot of people are saying is a real horror film for 2023, which has been needed, in the opinion of Necromaniacs. The brothers decide they want to gather their families to get the hell out of Dodge after this incident has gone down. And Pedro, the main character, is divorced, so he goes to his wife's home. His wife has been remarried, and they have she has a daughter with her new husband, but she does have the two children, the two sons that she had with Pedro, and so one is an older teenage autistic child, and the other is a young boy. Jair is the autistic child, and Santino is the younger kid. This is another scene where shit just goes right out the fucking window. He gets to the house of his ex-wife. He takes his clothes off because he has to get rid of his clothes and burn his clothes because they touched this fucking Uriel, right? Well, if you're paying attention, you see he puts his clothes on the floor in the house, and there's this dog in the house. The dog sniffs the clothes, huh, Mike?
And that's enough. Apparently,
He not only sniffs it, I believe he licks the clothes too, the dog. This big, beautiful dog. And again, it's kind of like you needed to be really paying attention to know what was going to come next. He's fighting with his ex-wife and his ex-wife's current husband. It's going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. They think he's crazy. There's a restraining order. He shouldn't be there. And he's like, no, we got to get out of here, blah, blah, blah. And the young daughter is sitting with the dog watching all this. And the camera pans back and forth to her and the fighting. And then the camera goes right to her. And it's another astonishing scene in the film. The dog just chomps her head while the younger brother is watching. And it is really a fucking great scene, folks. I mean, by the way, maybe we should have did some spoiler alerts here. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
There's, spoiler city, but we're not going to spoil the ending. And again, you're remembering what was said about touching the body and touching the clothes, and of course, killing rottens. Unfortunately, all of these things are now taking place, which is unleashing hell upon the town, huh, Mike?
Yeah, and that was another scene, totally unexpected. And when it hit, I was like, ow, just like the whole thing, just like, I was like, that really happened, man. It was crazy. And but once again, it was brutal and grim, but kind of funny too, in a weird way, right?
Yeah, it wasn't, it really just shows the dog grabbing the girl's head and then darting out the door, actually. It wasn't like some kind of prolonged, agonizing moment. It's more what you kind of don't see, actually, after the dog does the initial chomp, right?
Yeah, but you feel it, though. You know what I mean? It's very, you feel the whole thing, and you're like, damn, that dog just chomped down on that young girl, man, and it was heavy, man, and so that all this stuff happens in the movie. And now, might I add, our two brothers, the protagonists of this film, have done not a single thing right at all in this entire movie.
No, they haven't listened to anything.
They've done everything wrong that could possibly go wrong. They've been the instigators of everything. So let's just keep that in mind too. Yeah.
So the dad of the younger daughter, the ex-wife's new husband, grabs his shotgun and goes running through the town, gets in his car looking to kill the dog. However, Pedro's like, no, do not kill the dog. Do not kill the dog, blah, blah, blah. And of course, he kills the dog, which unleashes hell upon him, the stepdad. And unfortunately, he plows through his own wife and daughter. And that's another pretty shocking scene. And then you kind of see that the daughter has been retrieved and she's remarkably fine, but she's fine because now she's a demon, folks.
Yep. Demon possessed.
And after the wife is run over by the husband who's possessed in the truck, the little girl is dancing around on the lawn. That was really sick scene, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And now I want to make a little comparison here too to Terrified. Terrified did not have nearly as much dark humor as this one does, And the tone of this film is very unsettling because of the dark humor and just the sheer brutality that are juxtaposed together,
Yeah, and it's he does manage to grab the two other sons, the autistic teenager and the young kid, gets them out of there, and then they go retrieve their mom. Who, it's interesting. The mom she's kind of like, I feel like she's almost in denial of what's going on,
Yeah.
Like she's more concerned with the fact that Pedro is with his kids when he has no custody of his kids, right? Like,
yeah. And that's what I mean. Once again, the dark humor, it shines through in this.
Yeah. Sorry for my coughing. And but then she drops some wisdom about the rottens, right? About the things you're not supposed to do or things you're supposed to watch out for, right? In the back seat, she tells the young kid. So I almost feel like at one point I didn't really trust her. Like I thought something was up with her, but that was kind of wrong. Actually, she really didn't. She didn't really play super heavily into things,
Well, she's one of those characters that exists, in horror fiction to give exposition. You know what I mean? Like there's always like there's that guy Zadok from Shadow over Innsmouth, the drunk guy who tells the whole story of of Dagon and all that sort of stuff. And that's kind of like there's always characters like this. Like they're like non-active players, or whatever the hell they call them in video games, where they're just there to forward the plot, and I felt like that's what the mother character was like.
Yeah, no, totally. Now, a character who actually does weigh in more heavily is Uriel's brother. What is Uriel's brother's name?
Jamie.
Jaime. Yeah. Jaime.
Yeah.
Jaime. He is someone that you kind of forget about at one point, but at the end, which again, I don't really want to reveal, but keep your eye on him, folks. Keep your eye on the younger brother who is seen more prominently at the beginning of the film. He makes a very prominent appearance at the end of the film, where, things get even a bit more out of control, but it's revealed that his role is really revealed towards the very end of the film, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but,
so this is where the Mitra character figures in, because they're all in the car. They're trying to get out of Dodge, and they go over to the brother's friend Mitra's house. She's this woman who apparently herself used to be a cleaner. She's in full belief of everything. Like she's not unlike the mom who's kind of like somewhat doubting some of the things that are going on. She's like, oh no, this is all real, right?
And this is the part that I dug. I really dug this part because once again, you don't know all the rules just yet. You know that these things give birth to the demons. You know that once you're possessed, that's what happens. There's a thing about fear, and they find out what you're afraid of, and the thing that you're the most afraid of losing is what they'll use to manipulate you. Real subtle stuff like that. But then also, like you brought up the point about the mother who's in denial, where all this horrific stuff is going on in this world, and it has been going on for a long time. But it's like, how like you exist in a world today where there's some
Hmm.
war going on across the world. The people are getting
Yep.
killed and blown up and decimated and everything. But your life is not at all changed by it. You hear reports of it. So it might not, you might
Mm.
not even, you might deny the fact that anything's even going on. And that's the
Yeah.
sense you get with all these demonic activities that are happening, that people hear about it. There was a popular song written. Remember the mom sings the song about the demons?
Yes. Yes.
And
So I guess it's not that she's in denial. I think that I don't know. I think maybe the whole thing about, oh, does she know that you're with the kids? And like, maybe she was like, it was her way of masking her own kind of, oh my God, I can't believe
yeah,
this is happening.
and maybe
Right.
it's also possible that none of this stuff had come to that town yet. Like that was,
Right.
like I said, right now there's a war raging in the Middle East that you and I read about, but we don't know if it's really happening. It's like we
Yeah.
watch TV, we read about it, but our lives are not changed at all. So that town that they live in, this, farming village, small remote area, they probably hear about all this demonic possession. Oh, that's happening over somewhere else, but our lives are completely unchanged by it. So that's maybe the vibe that the mother has, in my opinion.
Right. While they're driving and they're getting to this woman's house, it's like, I feel like they all haven't realized that, no, there have been deaths, that you've touched the clothing, you've touched the demon, your fate is kind of sealed. You know, of course, that night, the one night they're there, the possessed mother makes an appearance and steals Santino from the house and like jumps out of a window, and that was also kind of an interesting scene. And of course, she's not there because she's a ghost demon, but she did steal her child from the house, which did happen. And Mitra devises a plan for her and Pedro to go to find the body of Uriel, which has been missing in action, but they have an idea where it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the brother, Jamie, Jamie to go to find, the mom and the kid, which again was a good plan. Divide and conquer. Sadly, he does find the mom and kid, and this is a fucking wild scene. Spoiler alert. He's driving on the road, and like she's like eating the kid's head,
Oh, yeah.
basically.
Brutal.
And it's kind of in the dark, so you see it, but it's dark, so it's a little, maybe slightly less fucked up, but it is extremely fucked up. It's kind of like a street light kind of shining on it, and it is like I actually had to rewind it.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, holy shit! Like, I wasn't sure if it was like a hallucination or not, but no, that was actually happening.
Yeah, man, it's something, It's like that's I said, this movie really, it's like just goes there, in a lot of ways.
And then he smashes his car into her. I mean, the kid is dead already. He wants to kill her. He smashes his car into her, and he bashes his head, right? And like she's kind of sprawled out on the front of the car. And then what she does, she gives him like a smile or something like that. That was another fucked up moment. Or she like laughs at him or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really sick moment as well.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. No one's doing anything right in this movie. Everyone is
not at all.
exactly the wrong thing all the time.
Kill me. Yeah. They've killed pretty much every rotten, quote unquote, that they've come across in this movie. Every one of them is dead, which is in turn will ruin your life. You know what I'm saying? It will unleash hell onto you personally and onto your world, onto the world around you, right? It's just like the town is doomed.
and I think that my feeling is that this plays into a larger picture, or this is going on, or has this. It's like the slow turning of the world into this like nether world. You know what I mean? I think that my feeling of this film is like, yeah, this has been going on for quite a while, like 10 years, but slowly, little by little. There's reports of these demons. It's like post religious world where the days of churches are over. They talk about how no one believes in God anymore and all that, and how but it's been like this grinding process that's been going on for probably over a decade, slowly spreading across the world, and all because of just people fucking up, I think, and, and doing the wrong thing all the time. And this could be happening in towns all over the world, you know, and that's the feeling I get. And that's what I hope this is. I hope there's more stories like this that come out.
Side note about the older autistic child, when they first got to Mitra's house, she kind of said right off the bat that, yeah, he's possessed. He's possessed. And the father's like, no, he's not possessed. And right? Like,
yeah, he's just like that.
Out, she was right.
He's just like that, you know?
Yeah. No, he's literally possessed. He was possessed the whole fucking time, apparently. Actually, he was probably possessed once the dad came in the house and the thing happened maybe with the dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's my feeling, too.
That's when he, you know, turned, because I feel like everybody in that house was kind of fucked at that point or within that vicinity. But yeah. But again, there's a little more to that too that comes into play with the other son, Uriel's brother. But yeah, we're kind of towards the end of the movie here, which again, we've said a lot, listeners. It's because we're excited about the movie and we like the movie, but I almost feel like I want to let it go here because there's like two huge things that happen that you can experience for yourself if you're listening to the podcast before you watch the movie.
Yeah, so everyone go out there and watch this movie. I would love for more films like this by Rugna to be made, to expand this universe. And I'm so curious to see if this actually connects to the Terrified movie in some way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I said at the end did almost remind me a little bit of The Beyond with this kind of foreboding doom, ending. But it's some Fulci similarities, but it's definitely it's its own film. And Demian Rugna is, I mean, I'm stoked for this guy. I mean, if he's going to stick around the horror world, then I think it's a gift for all of us.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is, like, I remember, like, even just a couple of years ago, I was always like, whatever happened to Demian Rugna, the guy who made Terrified, because that movie was so great,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this movie has a really good buzz. Everyone I know who's seen it has pretty much raving about it. I don't give a rat's ass about things like Rotten Tomatoes.
Nah, it's irrelevant.
But Rotten Tomatoes had 99% of 87 critics positive, with the average rating of 7.8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a pretty damn new movie. Like, not a ton of shit on the Wikipedia page about it. But it was filmed, in Argentina back in 2022, actually. It is Shudder's first Spanish language production. How about that? It is?
Interesting. I have to check that. I don't know if that's true or not.
It says that on Wikipedia. Maybe what they mean by that is it's the first one that they outright produced and paid for. It might be true, if it's shot in 2022. I think some of the other movies on there that are in different languages are ones that they might have acquired and not necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I know there's been tons of Asian films on there that were Shudder exclusives, but maybe they were produced and then licensed by Shudder. That's the technicality, I guess.
Yeah, it's their first Spanish language production. So to me, that means they had a hand, in the money.
Put up the case.
They wanted a production company. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what do you give this thing, Mike? What's your score on this?
Okay, on our Necromaniacs score of 1 to 5, I am giving When Evil Lurks a 5 out of 5. I love this movie. It's been a dismal year for horror for 2023. I was super vested in this. I thought it had a great plot. It had great acting. It was dark. It was violent. It was smart. I mean, I kind of have nothing negative to say about this movie whatsoever. I highly recommend it for the listeners. I recommended it for horror fans. I'm giving this puppy a 5.
I almost gave it a 5, Mike. I'm going to come in at a 4.5, and I'll tell you why I gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
All right. I've only watched it one time. Okay. All of my 5s have been multiple watches. So this might, if you ask me, like, say in a couple weeks, what would you score when Evil Lurks? I would say, 5. Because I've only seen it one time. If I watch it again and I still feel the same way, then I would say it's a 5. That's my one caveat to that score.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, hell, if I know you may change that score on second viewing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just, I watched a couple of YouTube takes on it, which I always do. If I like the movie a lot, I tend to watch what other people have to say, or read up a little more post my viewing. And a lot of things were reinforced, and I came away learning some new things, and particularly about the ending, which again we did not spoil. There's a couple of beats at the end that are like, oh shit, okay, So yeah, I mean, much like Skinamarink, it's a movie that is going to stay with me, and I've thought about, and hell, I've still thought about Skinamarink, and we're in October, and we watched it in January. So how about that?
I'm going to tell you guys in advance, this is going to be either my number 1 or number 2 this year. Just just to let everyone be advised about that.
Oh yeah, little preview.
So
preview of our year-end wrap-up.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, see this movie. I mean, you couldn't give it a higher recommendation, folks.
No calls this week, so give us a call on the Necro phone, and that number is 908-913-0782. Once again, 908-913-0782. And yeah, a little disappointed, man. I love hearing from everyone, so drop us a line.
Maybe they were doing their Halloween stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
these things happen.
I was a little disappointed, so drop us a line.
All righty. Listeners, thank you so much for the support. I see on our Instagram we've hit 900 followers. Let's get that to 1,000 followers, listeners. If you are on Instagram, Necromaniacs Podcast. Look us up, okay? Hit that follow button. But thank you to the 900 who have liked. We appreciate you.
All right, guys. Take care now.
Good night.